Anfield and a little bit of history this afternoon. We are set for the second largest home crowd ever. The new Anfield Road stand is very nearly up to full capacity, and today we expect 60,000 fans here for the first time since 1952. The vast majority will be hoping to see Liverpool kickstart a new unbeaten run after the last one was ended by Arsenal 6 days ago. That loss was frustrating, but Virgil and his team have been making all the right noises this week, and they are ready for a tilt at the title. It is Liverpool versus Burnley in the Premier League. It's a 3 p.m. kickoff here at Anfield. We've got over an hour of build-up before Steve Hunter and John Aldridge have full match commentary for you as well. Welcome along to Matchday Live, and a warm welcome to Tash Dowie and Jason McAtee, who are with me for the duration of today's show and beyond, it has to be said. A big game for Liverpool today, boys and girls, a big game in which they have to try and bounce back. But I put it to you, Jason, if we were to hand-pick a fixture to try and bounce back in, a home match against the side that sit 19th in the table with just 3 wins so far this season would be a good one to pick. With you live here at 2 p.m, so do stay with us for that. In terms of what's lying ahead, you mentioned just the business end of the season is getting ever earlier, but there is a real intrigue now with 3 teams in the mix, so we're paying close attention to Liverpool, City and Arsenal. It's worth us having a look at the fixtures coming up for those 3 teams before we play City, of course, and not too far down the line. And you do start to plot what comes next, don't you, Jason? You start to look at, well, where might they drop points? We're looking at now at City playing at the moment, saying, if Everton could hold out and take points off them, well, that's exciting. We are at that stage, we're starting to look at it.
I think over the last 5 seasons, Mark, I think the average point dropped you can manage was 24, which sounds a lot, but it's actually not. There's just no wriggle room, to be honest, and that's why I mentioned before, every game is as important as the next, no matter who you play. They're all scrapping for something. Whether it's, managers losing their jobs and they want to stay in the job, they want a result, they want a performance. You're scrapping down the bottom, you want points to stay in the Premier League, or you're at the top and you want to win the Premier League or European places. Everything is up now for grabs, isn't it? You look at Liverpool's run of games, what is it, today, Burnley, I can't actually see that, my eyes are terrible. My eyes
come after that.
Yeah, and then Luton, yeah. And then we got the final, haven't we, against Chelsea. So on paper, it's a nice run of games. Listen, it could be a lot harder, but like I said, Luton have turned a corner for me. You look, Brentford, you just don't know what you're getting, and obviously Burnley are fighting for their lives, aren't they? So they're all in their own right, very difficult fixtures, and you can't look at other teams and what they can do, or what they can and can't do. You can't look at City's results. You can look at it and go, they might slip up this. City don't slip up. It's all about Liverpool now going to the end of the season. For me, trying to do it unbeaten. It's as simple as that.
I will look at City for a moment, Tash.
Okay,
just for a moment.
Me too.
And just for me, it's the results they've got in the build-up to playing us and just after it. United, us, Brighton and Arsenal to come in a row.
Yeah.
Basically the 4 toughest fixtures you could have, probably, for them, given that the local rivalry United. It's almost that bit. If Liverpool can stay in and about above them at that point, that's the bit where they can press home an advantage potentially.
Yeah, I think it's important. I see, Jason laughing a little bit there, but I think when you do look at our run of fixtures, you fancy us to win those games. You look, City at home is going to be tough. We know that Everton away is not an easy game, but I do look at City's, United and us, like you said, those 2 games after as well. I think that's tough, so you're spot on. I think it's important that today is where it starts again. We get back on track, 3 points, good performance, crowd behind us. We go on that good run, and then let's see what happens with City. But look, they're back on top now with regards to they need to slip up. So we're hoping that in that run of games there, that's when they can slip up.
As you can see, it is tight at the top. But the interesting thing, Jason, I think it does change it maybe, is the fact that at the moment at least there are 3 teams in the mix. I think that is different to what we've seen in recent campaigns.
For the neutral.
Yeah.
For the neutral.
Yeah.
Of course it is, yeah. I mean, that's what we want, an exciting Premier League, doesn't it? And I'm not taking anything away from Liverpool and Man City. It's been phenomenal. They pushed each other to heights we've never seen before. The points amassed, the goals scored, the performances, the manner in which they've gone about their business to win it. Liverpool falling short a couple of times, then getting over the line. It's great. It's great. But you do want a little bit more. The rest sort of catching up and playing a part in the Premier League title race as well. So it's interesting for the neutral, but for us, it's just about what we do, not what anyone else does.
But the threat is there throughout the Premier League. We've seen the increase in quality. You look at teams like Brighton, like Tottenham, who aren't in the title race right now, but have shown in the last 18 months they are more than capable of throwing a spanner in the works. And that's the real danger to all the three teams at the top.
Yeah, absolutely, it is. Even the likes of Chelsea on their day, that you could name, a handful of teams, and I think this is where today can't be that banana skin. I know Klopp said it in the press conference. On paper, it should be an absolutely no-brainer 3 points. I think we've won the last 4 games against Burnley. They haven't scored a goal. We've scored 8, so it should be job done. But football's not like that, so this is why it's so important that we get focused. This is another cup final for us.
Yeah, you look at the bottom of the Premier League table. Burnley are second bottom, as I mentioned, 7 points from safety. They need to start picking up points if they want to pull themselves out of the drop zone. In terms of beyond that as well, we have to look at the bigger picture and say there is the points deduction situation, which could complicate things down the line. Okay, that's enough of me rambling on. Let's go and get the important stuff just now. Let's get the team news from both camps from our man, Peter McDowell.
Yeah, well, it's alien territory for Liverpool, isn't it? Trying to recover from a Premier League defeat, but there's all new challenges for every manager now. And the biggest challenge for Jurgen Klopp has been counting his players into that breakfast room this morning as they prepare for this pre-match to see who was well enough to play. They are without Alisson in goal, Liverpool, here today, and also Joe Gomez added to the suspension that you already know about where Ibrahima Konate is concerned. No Conor Bradley either. So what it does mean is a set of changes for Liverpool here and returns for Robertson and Nunez as well. The first Anfield start in Premier League football for young Jarrell Quansah. So let's go through that team in full then. So Kevin Kelleher deputises in goal. Endo straight back in as well. Knocked out by Iran, of course, in the Asia Cup. Played every single minute of every game for his country in the Asian Cup there, and including extra time against Qatar last weekend. Virgil van Dijk continues with the armband. His 250th appearance this in Premier League football. Then it's Diaz. Nunez with his 11 goals and 11 assists back in the starting lineup again. McAllister and Jones, who've been that staple, haven't they, for Liverpool? This is where it all started for Curtis Jones back in July of 2020. Jota probably on the right side. We'll wait and see on that, but 13 goals. He's got 20 in his last 35, 2 away from 100 goals since arriving in England. Robertson back, his first start since that shoulder injury back in October in Premier League football. Trent Alexander-Arnold and Quansah make up the rest of the 11. 2 goalkeepers amongst the backups, and also young Lewis Koumas on the bench for Liverpool there as well. A team that always signals danger, Liverpool. Only Manchester United in the last 33 Premier League games have prevented them from scoring, and only conceded 9 here at Anfield as well. And now on to the Burnley side, which is quite difficult to predict quite often as well. 8 points from safety, a team that's lost 18 points from winning positions. They also make 3 changes to their team. Let's look at that one in full then. James Trafford in goal, been there, jewel in the crown, 6'6", former Man City player, was in really good form against Liverpool in the away game. Then it's O'Shea, Hannes Delcroix back after 3 games out, and Maxime Esteve gets a start as well. And then a familiar-looking midfield of Brownhill. 3 goals is his best return in Premier League football. One of the players of the season in the Championship last year. Sander Berge, who lost all 4 games he's played against Liverpool, scored for Sheffield United though 3 seasons ago against the Reds. Ramsey and Odobert, and then Andouni, who's done so well for Burnley, but Fofana is the big one, isn't he? He starts having scored 2 goals and got his 1 assist from his 58 minutes last week, signed on loan from Chelsea. And despite that goal that broke our hearts, the opposing manager scoring in the colours of Manchester City, never won here at Anfield as a Manchester City player. Let's hope that record continues as an away manager too.
Thank you, Pete. Yeah, well, looking at that, there are a couple of changes. Illness has impacted. I suppose looking at it, Tash, and saying the starting 11 is still strong. There are no issues there. Maybe just looking at the bench, there's not quite as much for the manager to turn to, albeit he has turned to some of those youngsters already this season.
No, I think you spot on with what you just said. I think that ideally the depth in squad isn't there, but the youngsters have been phenomenal for us. When they've come on, they've done a job, and look, they're going to be called upon today, I'm sure, because we are light in numbers. The likes of Robbo as well. He hasn't got 90 minutes in him, since his injury, so he's probably going to get rested, maybe 60 minutes in him, so we'll need a replacement for him. Endo as well, coming back in after, the African Cup. Will he have 90 minutes in his tank? So, there are going to be changes made, but with them youth players on the bench who have had experience, I think they're more than capable coming in and doing a job. But let's get the game done early doors, so then we can then make those changes.
I guess the interesting part of the team to look at in terms of where players play is midfield, with Endo and McAllister both in. Does Endo sit and McAllister's given a little bit more license to play a little bit more like we saw him at Brighton? Or does Jurgen still keep the two of them sat there? What do you think he will do in the middle of the park, Jason?
No, I think today is about Liverpool dominating possession. They were overrun last week in the middle of the park for me against Arsenal, so fresh legs in there, Endo coming back. You know, he'll sit in there. He's more of a natural number 6. He sits in front of that back four and just marshals it from a defensive aspect. McAllister, as much as he's done a really good job, that's not his position. He wants to be more creative. He wants to be in the final third, looking to get on the ball, to find little passes through for willing runners. So he will be much more further up the field, I feel. Endo will be sitting. But listen, it's great to have them all back, you know, and obviously Mo Salah, there's talk about him being back in training as well. So to get players of that calibre back at such an important time is good. The bench is light, but like Tash said, I mean, the youngsters, they haven't let us down this season. They've been phenomenal, to be honest. Great learning curve for them, and they've really contributed. So no problem with that at all. But like Tash said, let's get the game put to bed, you know, after an hour, and then we can make them subs.
In terms of Endo, I just wonder what his mindset would be like. Would you have any qualms about coming straight back into proceedings after being away internationally, or does that not even come into your thinking?
He's been on holiday, Mark.
Absolutely not.
He's had the mental exhaustion. He's been captaining his country at an international tournament.
As a player, you want to play, and I think Jason's spot on. Probably with the era that we've come from, you played 90 minutes every week unless you had a poor performance.
Thanks.
So yeah,
He took years off me there. Do you notice that?
But it's true. You know, he'll want to come straight back in. The form that he was in before he went away, he was our best player by a mile, you know, so to have him back in, I think is vital for us. And I think Jason's spot on. Push McAllister further forward, you know, get us pressing higher. He'll create a lot more chances for us today, and I'm really excited with the front three that we've got up front. I think, you know, Jota for me is the most prolific goal scorer in the team. Nunes, look, we talk about his clinicalness, but he brings so much more. You know, defenders don't want to play against him in the style of player that he is, and Diaz, we know that he can create magic as well.
In terms of the decisions, in terms of the changes today, we spoke about the impact they can make late in the day. Jurgen has said pre-match day. Joe Gomez was decided yesterday. Alisson, that was only this morning. So that's been a late change. If you're Quiveen Kelleher, how do you handle being thrown into this? Or has he played enough that he won't be daunted at all by having to step in and put the gloves on?
Not at all. And listen, you know Quiveen as much as I do. You know, his temperament is fantastic. He's very laid back. He takes everything in his stride. He showed that with the Carabao Cup final a few seasons ago. He was outstanding, wasn't he? And you know, knowing him as I do, he'll relish the opportunity. He'll come in. Listen, to have a number 2 like him is brilliant. You know, I've said it many times. It's getting to that point for me where if Quiveen wants to have a really good career, I mean, he's had a fantastic career, but footballers want to play, don't they? I mean, it's one thing sitting on a bench for Liverpool, but then there's playing week in, week out. And unfortunately for him, he's got the Wales number 1 in front of him, and keepers very rarely get injured or move on, do they? So he's got a decision to make in the next couple of seasons.
James Trafford in the opposite goal is actually a good kind of example for Quiveen. The other option, he was England's under-21 goalkeeper, the youth goalkeeper, highly thought of, but he has moved out to play regular and is playing in the Premier League now rather than stay at City and sit on the bench behind Ederson.
Yeah, it is. It's hard. It's tough, but I think it's spot on. As a player, you want to be playing games, and I think, you know, Kelleher's obviously got his cup runs, which has been exciting over the last couple of years, and he's done great, and Klopp's allowed him to get that game time. But still, the impact that I think he could be a number 1 in many top clubs, and I think you're spot on. Sadly for us, we probably will lose him in the next couple of years. But again, today it's brilliant that we do have that number 2 that can slot in so easily and calmly. And look, we miss Alisson, but not as much as probably a lot of other clubs would miss with this number 2 in the goal.
Yeah, very true indeed. Okay, well, don't forget, from kickoff, you can follow the game live with our audio commentary. Steve Hunter is our man on the mic. He's way up behind us in the main stand. Steve, good afternoon. How much are you looking forward to this one today, Steve?
Thank you so much, Mark. Yes, we're looking forward to this. We always do, don't we, when we're at Anfield, you know. And don't forget today, folks, Anfield is going to be even more packed than we've seen it ever before for a very long time. The sun is shining. Yes, there's a bit of a chill in the air, but there's a special feeling about Liverpool. We always tend to bounce back, don't we, under Jurgen Klopp, this special manager who we love and admire so much. My word, we are going to miss him, aren't we? But we're here on the top of the 6th floor main stand gantry. This is our new commentary position this season. Alongside me, sitting next to me here, will be the great man, Aldo, John Aldridge, and you know how passionate that guy is. At the moment, Aldo is currently working in the lounges downstairs, entertaining fans here. But as we look here, and we've got a brilliant view of the top of the main stand. I can see the new upper tier of the Anfield Road away to my left-hand side. It looks absolutely brilliant. The fans are in there already soaking up the atmosphere. And don't forget, folks, the highest attendance recorded at Anfield ever was 61,905. That was back on the 2nd of February, 1952, an FA Cup game. Liverpool beat Wolves 2-1, and a certain Bob Paisley scored that day, assisted by Liverpool. Billy Little, of course, I'm talking about. The ground capacity at the moment at Anfield is registered at 60,725. I think we'll be a little bit short of that figure here today, but you know, Jurgen always calls on the fans to bring that extra noise, doesn't he? And I think we're going to see that. We've seen evidence of it already since the upper tier has been open. I can hear that extra noise, and you speak to a few of the players, it really does spur them on here today. So we're really looking forward to this one, absolutely. And you know what, folks? Football, as we all know, is nothing without fans. And during the pandemic, it was a really hard time for everybody, wasn't it? And that brings me back to one of my favourite Liverpool goals against Burnley. You know, we go back to August 2021. It was the first time in 528 days that Anfield was packed to the rafters once again. That noise was so special, it really was. And when Kostas Tsimikas was down the left wing and putting a cross in, Diogo Jota doing what Diogo Jota does. It was a classic header. Enjoy that once again, because it was so special to have the fans back. Space for Keita on the left wing. Coppen, Keita, quick feet, needs support. Back to Tsimikas. Salah, back post is unmarked. It's a Jota! Yes! It's a glorious little flick header by Diogo Jota at the near post. And Jota scores again. Brilliant ball in from Kostas Tsimikas. Great play from Naby Keita.
Yeah, a great goal. Some great stats too there from Stephen. If there's more of a more enthusiastic commentator than Steve Hunter, I would like to find them, and I'd pay good money to listen to them as well. That's all for the moment from us. If you're with us on social media, then we are saying goodbye. If you want even more of Jason and Tash, though, you can find details of how to subscribe to LFC TV and LFC TV Go online at liverpoolfc.com/watch. As mentioned, audio comms with Stephen Aldo starts just before the 3 p.m. kickoff today. Live reaction from us is here at about 5:15. And on TV and Go at midnight, the full match replay is available. Inside Anfield is on YouTube and Facebook on Monday. We'll take a short break just now. When we come back, more build-up for you on LFC TV and Go. It is the chance for the Reds to bounce back from that defeat last Sunday. It's Burnley in their path here at Anfield today.